They laughed in my face, called my military career a dead-end joke. My own family, mom, dad, my brother Michael, sat around that dinner table, tearing me down, saying I'd never amount to anything. Their words stung, each one a dagger I'd learned to endure. But I held a secret they couldn't imagine. In my bag, hidden from their mocking eyes, was the silver eagle of a colonel, earned through years of grit and sacrifice. I wasn't the failure they thought. Tonight, at Dad's company gala, I'd step into their world, not as their disappointing daughter, but as Colonel Sarah Thompson, the officer they'd answer to. The truth was coming, and it would hit like a shockwave. I could already picture their jaws dropping when their CEO, Elizabeth Carter, greeted me with respect they never showed. This wasn't about revenge, it was about proving who I'd become. Stick around, because you won't believe what happens when my family sees the real me. My name's Sarah Thompson, 28 years old, driving back to my childhood home in Savannah, Georgia, after 5 long years away. My palms grip the wheel, sweaty with nerves, because I'm not just carrying memories in my bag, I'm hiding the silver eagle of a colonel, earned in the U.S. Air Force. My family has no clue. To them, I'm the disappointment who chose a dead-end military career over their corporate dreams. Growing up, I wanted to be an astronaut, but Mom and Dad, Linda and James, pushed me toward business school, just like my brother Michael. They never came to my Air Force graduation, never asked about my deployments. James is a big shot at Horizon Defense, a company building cutting-edge cybersecurity tech. Michael's his golden boy, climbing the corporate ladder, while I'm the daughter they barely mention. Walking into that old house, the same creaky floors and faded photos hit me like a time capsule. Mom's voice calls from the kitchen, already bragging about Michael's latest promotion. Not once does she ask about my life. The weight of their dismissal stings, but I hold my head high. I've built something extraordinary, and soon, they'll see it. Get ready, the real storm's brewing at tomorrow's family dinner. The dining room felt like a battlefield, the air thick with judgment as I sat across from my family. Mom, Dad, Michael, and his wife, Laura, filled the table with chatter about Michael's latest triumph at Horizon Defense. He's leading a billion-dollar project now, Mom gushed, her eyes sparkling with pride she never showed me. Senior project manager at 30. Can you believe it, Sarah? I forced a smile, nodding mechanically. That's great, Michael, I said, my voice steady despite the ache in my chest. Not once did they ask about my life, my career, or the sacrifices I'd made. Instead, Mom turned to me with a thin smile. So, Sarah, still doing whatever it is in the military? Still a captain or something? The word job dripped with dismissal, as if my years of service were a hobby. Dad chimed in, barely looking up from his plate. You could have been so much more, Sarah. The military's for folks without options. Michael smirked, leaning back in his chair. Come on, Sarah, it's not like you're saving the world pushing papers. Their laughter cut deep, each word a reminder of the daughter they'd written off. My cousin, Emma, tried to defend me. That's unfair, Michael. Sarah's doing important work. But Mom waved her off. Oh, Emma, let's not pretend. We always knew Sarah was bright enough for a real career. I swallowed the hurt, my fingers brushing the hidden colonel's eagle in my pocket. They had no idea I was overseeing the very project Michael bragged about, a $1.5 billion defense contract I held in my hands. I could have told them right then, spilled the truth about my rank, my authority, but I held back. Tomorrow, at Dad's company event, they'd see who I really was. Not the failure they mocked, but Colonel Sarah Thompson, one of the youngest in Air Force history. Tell us more about your project, Michael, Mom urged, oblivious to the storm brewing inside me. Michael puffed up, eager to impress. It's huge, Mom. Elizabeth Carter herself picked me to lead. The military liaison's just some paper pusher who'll rubber stamp my work. I bit my tongue, knowing I was that liaison, with the power to approve or reject his every move. Emma caught my eye, sensing something was off, but I gave her a small nod. Let them talk. Let them dig their hole deeper. Their words stung, but they also fueled me. I'd spent years proving myself to generals, to my country. Why did I still crave their approval? Therapy had taught me their validation didn't define me, but old wounds bled fresh tonight. As dessert was served, Dad mentioned tomorrow's event. Big day at Horizon. Elizabeth Carter's visiting. Some colonel's supposed to show up for the contract review, but it's probably just a nobody. I hid a smile, my heart pounding. A nobody? Oh, Dad, you're in for a surprise. Michael scoffed. Military types never get the business side. They just follow orders. Emma frowned. Michael, you don't know what Sarah does. He laughed. What, salute and file reports? Real impressive. The table erupted in chuckles, except for Emma, who looked at me with quiet sympathy. I pushed my plate away, the weight of their dismissal heavier than ever. But under the table, my hand closed around that silver eagle, its edges grounding me. They thought they knew me, thought I was stuck in some dead-end role. They were wrong. I wasn't just surviving in the military, I was thriving, leading, shaping the future of national security. Tomorrow, they'd face the truth, not from my words, but from the weight of my rank and the respect I'd earned. As I excused myself and headed upstairs, their laughter echoed behind me. I closed my bedroom door, pulling out my dress uniform. The midnight blue fabric gleamed, ready for battle. Tomorrow, I'd walk into Horizon Defense not as their disappointing daughter, but as the colonel they never saw coming. Hang tight, this is about to get explosive. I stepped into Horizon Defense's gleaming headquarters, my dress uniform crisp, the silver eagle of a colonel shining on my shoulder. The weight of last night's dinner, my family's mocking laughter, still lingered, but I pushed it aside. Today, I was Colonel Sarah Thompson, not the daughter they dismissed. Security guards snapped to attention as I approached. "Good morning, Colonel," one said, his voice sharp with respect. I handed over my ID. Colonel Sarah Thompson, Pentagon liaison for Project Sentinel. His eyes widened, checking my clearance. "Right this way, ma'am." Employees froze mid-conversation as I passed, their whispers trailing me. A colonel this young? Unheard of. The elevator hummed to the executive floor, my heart steadied despite the stakes. This wasn't just about my family, it was about a $1.5 billion contract critical to national security. Stepping out, I locked eyes with Michael, my brother, engrossed in his tablet. He glanced up, casual at first, then froze, his face draining of color as he saw my uniform, my rank. "Sarah? What the hell are you doing here?" he stammered, alarm creeping into his voice. "Good morning, Michael," I replied, cool and professional. "I'm here for the project review." Before he could respond, Dad rounded the corner, mid-sentence with two executives. He stopped dead, his eyes darting from my face to the silver eagle. "Sarah, why are you in uniform?" His voice cracked, panic flashing as he glanced at his colleagues. "Dad," I said with a nod, "I'm heading to the conference room. Meeting starts soon." One executive, Karen from legal, stepped forward, her tone reverent. "Colonel, it's an honor. We didn't expect you in person." Dad's face paled further, his world tilting. "Colonel? Sarah, what is this?" I kept my composure, years of training kicking in. "Elizabeth Carter will explain everything. If you'll excuse me." Whispers erupted behind me as I walked away, their shock palpable. The conference room buzzed with staff setting up, one nearly dropping a water pitcher when she saw me. "Colonel, we didn't know you'd be here," she gasped. "Everything's fine," I assured her, taking my seat at the liaison spot. Executives filtered in, each greeting me with deference, their surprise clear. They'd expected a video call, not a 28-year-old colonel in the flesh. Dad and Michael entered, their faces a mix of confusion and dread, sitting as far from me as possible. I focused on my notes, refusing to give them the satisfaction of a glance. At precisely 9, Elizabeth Carter, Horizon's CEO, strode in, her presence commanding silence. Her eyes scanned the room, landing on me with a warm smile. "Colonel Thompson. What a pleasure to have you here in person." She crossed the room, extending her hand. "I thought we were stuck with a video call." I stood, shaking her hand firmly. "I was visiting family, Ms. Carter." Seemed like a good chance to review Project Sentinel in person. She nodded, impressed. "Smart move. Your presence will sharpen our focus." Turning to the room, she announced, "For those unaware, Colonel Thompson is our Pentagon liaison for Project Sentinel. She oversees all technical specifications and has final approval authority." Dad's jaw dropped, his fork clattering against his mental plate. Michael stared, mouth agape, as if I'd morphed into a stranger. Elizabeth continued, "Good morning, Colonel. We're eager for your insights." The meeting kicked off, team leaders presenting updates, each addressing me alongside Elizabeth. When technical questions arose, all eyes turned to me. "The integration protocols need to align with existing defense systems," I explained, my voice clear, authoritative. "We can't risk vulnerabilities in the network." Nods rippled through the room, my expertise undeniable. Dad and Michael exchanged incredulous glances, their worldview crumbling with every word I spoke. Then came Michael's turn. He stood, his usual swagger faltering as he caught my eye. "As team lead for user interface integration, I've streamlined the approach," his voice wavered, trailing off. "Please continue, Mr. Thompson," I said, professional, detached, as if he weren't the brother who mocked me last night. He stumbled through his slides, his confidence shot. When he finished, I leaned forward. "Your proposal overlooks cross-platform compatibility. How do you plan to address that?" My question was sharp, necessary, exposing gaps in his work. Michael fumbled, his face reddening. We'll look into it." I nodded. "Please submit revised specs by Friday. This phase needs approval." Dad watched, stunned, as his daughter held his son accountable in a room full of executives. My authority was unmistakable, my presence reshaping the room's dynamics. Elizabeth chimed in, "Colonel Thompson's right. These details are critical." The meeting rolled on, my input steering discussions, earning nods from seasoned engineers. Whispers spread, employees marveling at my rank, my age, my command. Elizabeth called for a break, then approached me. "Colonel, your reputation precedes you. General Hayes speaks highly of you, but seeing you today? You're the real deal." I smiled, diplomatic. "Thank you, Ms. Carter." From the corner of my eye, I saw Dad hovering, desperate to speak but unsure how. The truth had landed, and there was no unseeing it. I'd walked in as the family failure and stood now as the colonel they answered to. Their shock was just the beginning, things were about to get even more intense. The conference room cleared, but the weight of truth hung heavy. My family, Dad, Mom, Michael, waited in Dad's office, their faces a mix of shock and unease. I stepped inside, still in my colonel's uniform, the silver eagle gleaming under the fluorescent lights. Dad gestured to a chair. "Sarah, please sit." I stood firm, hands clasped behind my back. "I prefer to stand." Silence stretched, thick with years of unspoken hurt. Dad broke it, his voice unsteady. "Why didn't you tell us? We thought you were stuck, going nowhere." I met his eyes, calm but unflinching. "You thought I was wasting my life. That I'd never amount to anything in the military. You said it yourselves last night." Mom jumped in, defensive. "We didn't know, Sarah. How could we if you never shared?" I didn't waver. "I invited you to every promotion ceremony. I called after every assignment. I sent articles when my work made headlines. You never cared to look." Dad's face fell, guilt creeping in. "A colonel? That's huge. Like a vice president, right?" I nodded. "Roughly. And I oversee your contract, Michael. The one you bragged about." Michael's jaw tightened, his voice sharp. "So you came to humiliate us? To rub it in our faces?" I shook my head, steady. I came because you're my family, despite everything. The contract review just lined up. Call it fate. Dad's voice turned bitter. You show up in uniform, no warning, at my workplace. People will think I pulled strings to get you here. I couldn't help a dry laugh. Dad, I've spent my career avoiding your company to dodge that exact accusation. General Hayes chose me for my expertise, not your name. Mom's eyes welled up. You're General Hayes, she's been there for you, hasn't she? More than us. Her voice cracked, and I saw something new, regret. She saw my potential when you didn't, I said softly. But this isn't about proving you wrong. It's about my job, one I've fought for and excelled at. Michael stepped forward, arms crossed. You're saying we never cared? That's unfair. I held his gaze. Last night, you laughed and said I'd never be anything. Not one of you asked about my life. Not one question. The truth landed like a grenade, silencing them. Mom stood, her voice trembling. We wanted the best for you, Sarah. A stable life, like Michael's. I corrected her, firm but not cruel. You wanted what you thought was best. When I chose my path, you called it a mistake instead of trusting I knew myself. Dad sank into his chair, his anger fading. Michael followed our plan. He's thriving. I nodded. I'm happy for him. But I needed something else. My path wasn't yours, it was mine. Michael uncrossed his arms, his voice quieter. I thought you were stuck, Sarah. I didn't know. I looked at him, unflinching. You never asked, Michael. None of you did. Mom's tears spilled over. I was scared, Sarah. The military sounded dangerous. I thought you'd be safer in an office, like Michael. I softened, sharing a truth I'd held back. 2 years ago, I led a mission to stop a cyber attack on our grid. One wrong move, and lives were at stake. I wasn't safe, Mom, but I was where I belonged. Her hand flew to her mouth, stunned. Dad stood, his voice thick. Sarah, Colonel Thompson, I was wrong. I dismissed your career out of ignorance. I'm sorry. He extended his hand, formal but earnest. I took it, feeling a knot in my chest loosen. Thank you, Dad. I'd like you to understand my work, if you're willing. Mom stepped closer, struggling. We should have been at your ceremonies. I wanted to see you shine. It wasn't a full apology, but it was hers. I nodded. It's a start. Michael hesitated, then spoke. You outrank me, Sarah. By a lot. I smiled faintly. It's not a competition, Michael. He nodded, honest for once. It always felt like one. I see now, you're playing a different game, and you're winning. His words, raw and real, cracked my defenses. Dad cleared his throat. Elizabeth Carter wants us all at dinner tonight. She's impressed with you, Sarah. I allowed a small smile. I know. But tonight, I'm just your daughter. The air shifted, tentative hope replacing tension. We weren't fixed, but we were beginning. The real healing starts now, stick around to see how it unfolds. 6 months later, my Washington, D.C. apartment buzzed with the warmth of family, a far cry from that tense dinner in Savannah. My parents, James and Linda, and my brother Michael with his wife, Laura, filled the space with laughter, something I hadn't heard from them in years. Dad arrived first, clutching a framed article about Project Sentinel's success, my name in bold alongside General Rachel Moore and Elizabeth Carter. Thought you'd want this for your wall, he said, almost shy. The gesture hit me hard. 6 months ago, he'd called my career a dead end. I smiled, touched. Thanks, Dad. It means a lot. Mom brought my favorite apple pie, her attempt at connection still awkward but genuine. She'd stopped comparing me to Michael, instead asking about my work, the unclassified parts. Your place is so elegant, Sarah, she said, eyeing the sleek decor. Military precision, I teased, and her laugh felt like progress. Michael and Laura showed up with a bottle of wine, his demeanor different, humble, curious. I used your security protocols, he admitted, grinning. The team thought I was a genius, but I gave you credit, eventually. I raised an eyebrow. Good call. His nod was sincere, a colleague's respect, not just a brother's. Dad wandered to my bookshelf, studying my military awards. I read about that cyber attack you stopped, he said, voice low. It was big, wasn't it? Lives at stake? I nodded. We caught it early. Infrastructure security isn't just tech, it's people's safety. He looked at me, really looked, like he was seeing me for the first time. The doorbell rang, and I opened it to General Rachel Moore, my mentor, her uniform impeccable even off duty. Colonel Thompson, she greeted, her smile warm. General, thanks for coming, I replied, ushering her in. I wanted my family to meet the woman who'd believed in me when they hadn't. Everyone, this is General Rachel Moore, my commanding officer, I announced. Dad stood, shaking her hand with reverence. General, we owe you for seeing Sarah's potential. Rachel's eyes twinkled. It was always there, Mr. Thompson. I just gave her the stage. Over dinner, conversation flowed, natural and light. Rachel shared a story that hushed the room. Sarah once led a team to stop a cyber breach targeting our troops. One wrong call, and we'd have lost lives. She didn't flinch. Mom's fork froze, her eyes wide. We didn't know, she whispered. I met her gaze, soft but honest. You didn't ask. But you're here now, and that's what counts. Michael helped clear dishes, his voice low. I thought I was ahead of you, Sarah, promotions, corporate ladder. But you were on a different level, saving lives while I chased titles. I shook my head. It's not a race, Michael. We both chose our paths. He nodded, earnest. I'm sorry for making it one. His apology, simple and real, felt like a bridge rebuilt. As we sipped coffee over Mom's pie, Dad raised his glass. To Colonel Sarah Thompson, who showed us that carving your own path leads to greatness. We were slow to see it, but were so damn proud. The room clinked glasses, and I felt peace, not the validation I'd once craved, but something better, connection. My family's respect was healing, but it didn't define me. I'd defined myself long ago, choosing a life of purpose over their expectations. That was my victory. So, what about you? Have you ever been doubted by those who should have had your back? Maybe your family, friends, or even yourself questioned your dreams. Here's what I learned: stay true to your path, even when it's lonely. Success isn't about proving others wrong, it's about proving yourself right. Forgive those who doubt you, but don't let their voices drown out your own. Your journey, no matter how different, has value. Share your story in the comments. How did you rise above doubt? If this resonated, hit that like button, subscribe, and share with someone who needs to hear it. Your path is yours to forge, and no one gets to tell you it's not enough. Thanks for joining me. Let's keep inspiring each other.